All right, Dr. Shankopotamus here, hanging out in the garage again, working on the F250. Look right there, you can see, is it backwards? Oh, it's kind of backwards. Look these guys up, a little shout out. All right, go mad, go make a difference. Nice shirt, nice group, nice people. Anyway, we're going to be working on the Ford F250 today. I have a little problem with my coolant reservoir. Well, let's turn around, it goes this way. It goes this way, let me get in here right. There we go. So this is a replacement coolant reservoir. Came from Ford, I do believe. They're on the side, it's hard to see in the light. There it is. Ta-ding! I think several different companies make them, but I found this one at a great price off of eBay. Good stuff to replace it. I started having trouble with my coolant levels. And kind of filled up a couple times, thought, nah, something's wrong. And noticed that I'm getting fluid coming off this hose here. We're going to take this off and see. I think it's leaking under here. The biggest problem though, let me come over here and show you, if we can see it. This one might be hard to see. Yeah, it kind of is. Well, you have to trust me when I tell you. On the opposite side over there, when we get it out, I can maybe show you. There's a crack across the side over there, and the coolant's leaking out. And so what we're going to do is get this reservoir off of here and put the new one on. Also got a new hose right here, O'Reilly, for replacing this hose. I'm hoping, I've already been underneath and checked, fairly certain that the lower hose, which comes off of here, is still completely fine. So hopefully it is. So let me go ahead and get a few things together and we'll get started. All right, so you can see my level in here is a little bit low coming across here. You only have a few bolts to take out. Down here you've got two. Up here you've got to take this part of the brace off. So that if you're only replacing the reservoir, you don't have to do this. Reservoir and hose, you're going to have to get off this brace right here so that you can get up underneath your hose connection, which is tucked right inside of here. Just a lot easier to get to. If you're doing reservoir only, just leave this on. You just got 3 screws up here. They are all 8mm. Okay, makes it pretty easy to get a hold of them. What I'm hoping to be able to do is not drain this entire coolant system here. I'm going to try something, see if I can drain it out partially and get this down low enough to take this off. The whole system contains a buttload of fluid, and I just changed it out not long ago when I did the oil cooler that I got a video of too. So I don't want to put all new coolant into here. I'll go underneath, I'll show you where we drain it from, I'll see if it'll work. It might not work because of the coolant that is just in the radiator here as the level comes down, but we'll see. I might have to drain out quite a bit of it. I'll let you know. All right, we're up underneath the front end here, obviously, on the driver's side, and this is what you're after right here. A little stopcock. Okay, and that'll let you start to drain your fluid out. It's actually, maybe you can attach a hose if you need to, so you can get it where you need to. It's so easy to get underneath this thing. I didn't put it up on the lift to do this because the underneath part's going to be a very small part of what we're doing. But this is your stopcock for draining your coolant. I'm not sure if how much I have to drain out to get it down to get the reservoir off, but the radiator here obviously contains plenty of fluid and it's tied in. Well, it's hard to show. Way over there, it's up there. There's a hose that is tied into the bottom of the radiator here, right? So you're going to have a coolant level up through there. You see that? You're going to have a coolant level in that hose up towards the top of the radiator. So some of that radiator's got to come out, but if I can keep this hose in, because it's not draining anything, it's got a little dirt and stuff on it, but it's good. Then if I can get that out and keep this up, I'll be able to save plenty of my fluid that's in the radiator here. All right, we'll get it undone and start draining it. All right, so that actually worked pretty well. I only had to take off a little more than a gallon right there of coolant, and that emptied out the reservoir up here and down through part of the tube, and got plenty of room now to take it off without emptying out the entire system. One important thing about this fluid, very dangerous. okay? Don't leave this out anywhere where pets get a hold of it. Hopefully you're not gonna pick that up and start drinking it. But little kids, if they get a hold of it, pets get a hold of it, I mean, this stuff can kill you. And it doesn't take much at all to kill you, okay? So definitely keep this stuff covered, put it away, or be around it the whole time it's open like this so you know nothing comes by, gets a hold of this stuff. It tastes sweet, okay? Ethylene glycol, the glycol is a sugar. So that stuff tastes sweet, so dogs and things will lap that stuff up, and then they'll be very dead in short order because it doesn't take much. Anyway, we're gonna get up here to the top. Let's see where we're going here. So we'll come back up top, this area that I had showed you before. Let me get a little something into here. We're gonna have to pull off this piece here. We'll lift this up. We'll use one of our plastic pieces to get up underneath here. Just pop these up. I've got replacements for these two if I need to, because I've got to get to this other screw right here. And then we'll take this brace off along with our coolant, our reservoir, and unhook underneath down there. And then we'll go from there. Like I was just saying, these little guys pop right off. This one came right up. Here's my tool, plastic non-marring tool here. Pops right off. I do have replacements for these if I break them. One a little further over, just give me a little more room. These are still intact and work fine. Lift it up and you can get to this other 8mm screw right there. So I'm gonna get these undone and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, let me see what we got here. So when you lift up, you get it from this side. Let's see, there it is. See your clamp down there on the bottom? For a lot of years, I used wire pliers, channel locks, whatever, you get a hold of those clamps and pull them off. That's okay if you want to. You got the same type clamp. Let me get it right up here. On this end, you got the same clamp right here as well, okay? Obviously you can tell that one's gonna be hard to get a pair of pliers down there and get a hold of that thing and get it off. So a few years ago, I bought this tool right here. It's got an end on it that grabs those clamps. Absolutely fantastic. It came off of Amazon or something, I think. But that's the long end of it, and it's very flexible. So you can get down into these hose clamps, and then this end of it just simply clamps it down. And then it locks when you clamp down right here. You get a lock so that you can keep it clamped while you move the clamp off the hose, right? So the end stays clamped, and then you can come up and just do a partial push, let that down, and it'll go out as much as you want, or the whole way. Do that, pops all the way open, okay? So a really great little tool if you're working with these kind of clamps, which are really easy to do. You can also imagine how hard it would be to get down in there with a screwdriver and do one of your clamps that has the screw end on it, or even using this guy to get down in there still quite a bit. All I've got to do is get this around the clamp, squeeze, and I'm off. So I'm not going to try to videotape all that. You can tell it's kind of down in there, but I showed you where it was. Get a hold of the clamp, slide it down. The other thing that you may want, and I'll show you that in just a second, is a hose remover. Looks like a pair of reverse pliers, really. You stick it in, squeeze, and it pushes the hose off if it doesn't come off easily. But I'll show you that here in just a minute. All right, so I thought I'd give you a quick demonstration on how this little tool works on this one that you can see up here. Flaps a little bit in the way. There you go, okay? So I'm all the way back here, flexible, right? Just get it on there, clamp it down like that. And it locks back here. See that? Sweet, don't even have to touch it. Then I can undo it back here like what I showed you before. And off it comes. Hose is undone. All right. Now while we're at it, I went ahead and got my tool for removing the hose. You can see one side says hose. All right. And this is what it is. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see that. This little guy, very handy. Had him for years. It's great. You just put it down into here, and it helps get your hose off without damaging. All right. Now this hose, particularly this hose, I'm going to be tossing it anyway, so if you had to cut it to get it off, that's fine. But this takes it off very simply. All right, so I've got the reservoir off here. And hopefully you can see. Let me do a little zoom in right back here. So my lower hose is off. The fluid level's down pretty far, but you don't want to let that fall down, then you'll start fluid all over the floor, right? You're cooling all over the floor. I just tucked it back in there next to the belt, next to the pulley here. Did just fine. You might want to even, if you have trouble getting it to stay there, just loop a little piece of wire around your clamp and then loop it up and let that hold it up. Anything that'll keep it up so it doesn't fall too far back, because there is a fluid level in there and you're just going to run out once you go down. So to save, you don't have to take all your fluid out. Coolant out, I'm sorry. If your plan is to change all your coolant anyway, then sure, you should drain all out from the bottom and not worry about it. Or if you got to change that hose. All right. So the reservoir is off. Everything's open up here. We're going to get our new reservoir, new hoses. Shouldn't take too long at all. All right, so just this hose that came off of the top of the reservoir, or the coolant reservoir. This obviously is the Ford hose. Being the type A personality that I am, I cannot believe that I'm replacing this with a standard hose. But I'm about to do that, and I think it's going to be just fine. This hose right here is the hose that it's a Gates hose that's recommended for this replacement, as you can see. This is just a straight hose. This one is pre-bent. But with what it has to do, it should be just fine. So I'm going to get the length on this. Just straighten it out, get the length. Cut this one to length, twist it around a little bit, and attach it up. Another little tidbit to get a good clean cut on these. I have these little bad boys. Actually, they're kind of hefty, really. But they're made more for cutting large wire or even small wire. Whatever gets in there is going. But I found them great for cutting these smaller hoses too, to get yourself a nice, good, clean edge on the hose when you cut through it. Okay, so I went ahead and secured this. The hose went on easy. I'm telling you, this little bad boy, there's just no way I would go back to using channel locks and wire pliers and whatever to try to get a hold of those type of clamps. It's just super easy. If you got one of these, then go ahead and make sure that you put it on the clamp before you put this on. It's so much easier. It'll lock. It'll stay right here. You'll lock it down. It keeps your clamp open. Then you can slide your hose on, slide your clamp up, release your tension, and you're on. It's so simple. I went ahead and secured it. You can't see me, but I'm down in there. Went ahead and secured it there just so I could get a good position for where my hose is going to come in right here to make sure the hose, in case I need to trim it. I'd cut it just a little bit long. That's not a bad thing to do, just in case I got a problem with getting it over here, okay? One thing I wanted to point out, I just thought of it as I was up here with the wrench, kind of right like this, okay? Battery, don't mess with it. All right, it's so easy, and I have done it before. People working on cars have done it at some point, and you feel like an idiot. You're working with metal, okay, around your battery. Make sure especially your hot lead is covered. Very easy to accidentally hit this, cross it to the engine. You're going to get a spark, could shock yourself, could damage your electronics on your car. So really the best thing to do anytime you're working on it is unhook your ground off the battery so the battery's out of the circuit, okay? And then you won't get that, you shouldn't have much trouble with it. But anyway, just a little public service announcement. Just don't shock yourself, damage your battery, damage your electronics. So I'm going to go ahead and get this hose, it's right behind there, here to here, get the clamps onto it, bracket back on, and it should be golden. Check it back in a minute. Okay, first little part that's going to help y'all when you start to do this, because this little attachment here, the inlet outlet here where the hose attaches is a little bit larger, definitely harder to get this on, okay? You see, I just went and disconnected the bottom so I could move it out of the way. So you're going to either don't connect the bottom like I did, unless you just want to do it first and make sure your hose is the right length and it fits. You have to disconnect it really to get this up in here. You can't get enough force. See, it's in there. You can't get enough force off the back of it to really get it up in there. The other thing I did, I'm not going to say it's auto-approved, but here you go. So this is what I use in our pool for lubricating anything that we may need for the pool, seals and this sort of thing. O-rings, gaskets, bearings, water filters, all that kind of stuff. Well, this is sort of water, right? Couldn't harm, I don't think, but, oh, sorry. Ta-da. It worked really well. Just a little bit on there was enough to let it slide on. There was just no way. Tried lubricating it with a little bit of coolant. That doesn't really do it. But using this magic lube on it made it easy to really slide it on once I had this out of the way. So now we'll hook everybody back up and we should be golden. We'll attach this back down over here. Bring our hose up where it belongs and put our support on right here. All right. All right, so the tank is back in. I'll reach over here across the camera. My cap, another thing that I failed to mention, just make sure your cap is in good shape. This one's not that old, so it should be just fine. If you really think you got a problem, you can go have it tested. I think most of the auto stores will test it. You can buy a little tester online, whatever you'd like to do. But if you're having coolant level problems, it could be this. So make sure that your cap's good and tight, seals tight, and holds the right pressure. One thing that I did notice with this just straight hose, like I said, several places online, Gates, lots of people said this hose works, fits, it's the right size. And it is the right size. Once I got it on there, got the clamps on, it's tight, it fits real well. But one thing this hose does, since it's not pre-bent up here at the end, it kind of goes up against this brace here. And this is the brace for this side of the radiator. So the radiator fits in right here. It also holds your tools, which I took off a while back there underneath the seat. But me and my Type A personality decided that vibrations over time really just might wear a hole in that hose. Maybe it'll be just fine, I don't know. But I don't like having hose up against even semi-sharp metal edges with vibrations in the automobile or in the truck. So I put a little zip tie onto here just to kind of hold it up away from this little piece of metal. But other than that, it seems like it fits fine, works fine. Now we'll fill it back up, turn the truck on, run it for a little while, and hopefully this fixes all the problems. I said this definitely had a leak in it. And my assumption is the fan was blowing the fluid up along the side because there is some fluid down on the lower hoses, but I don't see a leak down there specifically. So I'm hoping this fixes all of my leak problems. If not, I might be running a video on how to replace hoses, which I've already done. Or I might be running a video on how to replace the radiator on this thing. We'll just see. Well, anyway, it's Dr. Shankopotamus, 2000 Ford F250, replacing the reservoir, coolant reservoir. Appreciate you guys watching. Y'all have a good day.